It's no secret that I love a weird disc, so over the past 2+ years, I've been collecting every single Dimple disc ever, and today, we're gonna put them to the test. So I've got a bag packed with Dimple discs that span all the way back to the 1970s. And if the moral of the story is that I just have an unhealthy obsession with weird discs, then I'm totally fine with that. But coming into this, I thought I was gonna start at the most recent and then work our way backwards, but instead, I'm thinking we start at the very beginning with the first ever Dimple disc that might also be the most interesting. So this was the first Dimple disc ever. As you can tell, it's literally got Dimple's head to toe, and it was creatively titled The Dimple. Interestingly enough though, not a lot is known about this disc, and this was probably the hardest to come by. But I've actually been able to get 2 of them, and this one in particular helps us learn a little bit more. The Dimple was originally released by a company called Dynamic Discs / Destiny Discs, which is not to be confused by the company modern day disc golfers know as Dynamic Discs. Dynamic Disc actually predated the modern day Dynamic Discs by like almost 30 years. And yes, the only difference is that one is singular and one is plural. As far as I can tell, they had 3 PDJ approved molds, and this is where things probably get the most interesting. The Dimple was not one of them. However, it says PDJ approved. I tried to research why that's the case and couldn't find anything. So as far as I can tell, based on when their other discs were approved, this disc was probably made sometime in the late 1970s to late 1980s. This is at best what would be a modern day base plastic, but at the time, I'm guessing this was not only the top of the line plastic for them, but I also think this would be what was considered a driver at the time. Now, some of you might prefer the Grateful Dude stamp, which is obviously awesome, but I prefer this original Dimple stamp, which literally has a ball golfer hitting a golf ball at a disc golf basket while a Frisbee is going into the disc golf basket. What's happening? This was easily the hardest disc to come across in the entire bag today. So naturally, I've not thrown it yet. I'm thinking neutral, if not pretty understable. Basket at 275. I'm thinking we can just go straight into the gap. Okay, a little low, but not a bad throw. It was definitely understable and wanted to drift right. A little more height, a little more hyzer. Oh, yep. Oh, that was looking so good. All right, I was gonna throw the next disc on this hole, but we need redemption. The basket here is 430 feet down in the Aspens, but it's super downhill. I think the same game plan, we're just gonna go hyzer flip through the gap, let it just drift to the right. I think I love it. Oh yeah. Oh, come on. That's one of the better drives I've had on this hole. Based on the last hole, I think the blue is a little more unstable just because of how like beat up it is. So I'm gonna go pretty steep hyzer. Same game plan though. Oh my gosh. That is, it's a Rolo, and I would take this shot on this hole any day. Oh, on the trash panda basket. So after the Dimple, we have to fast forward at least 15 years for the next Dimple disc to enter the market. We're now in 2004, and we've gone from a bunch of Dimples on a disc to very few. A lot of people have already heard of Ching discs, who came out with this contour groove technology that's also a quasi-Dimple, if you will. On many of the discs, like the Juju, which many are familiar with because Scott Stokely recently brought them back, you've got 9 kind of off-center Dimples, while on some of their other discs, you've got 5 of these like oblong grooves, and then on some of them, you have 3. I don't know if 3 technically counts as Dimples. I mean, it's plural. We're counting. Now, there's a lot to be said about these discs, so I actually made an entirely separate video about them a couple years ago, but suffice it to say for this video, they are definitely the least dimply discs in the bag, but that doesn't mean they're not still an absolute blast to throw. So we're just gonna throw lawn darts at the iconic hole 8 at Beaver Ranch Disc Golf Course. There's a basket down at the bottom. Let's try to get an ace. I think I remember the velocity being a little more stable, even though it says it's stable, like neutral. I don't know about that. I don't trust it. Oh, it does have some flip. Oh, please, come on. Oh. Oh. That was... Okay, we're kind of locked in. I mean, not even close to the basket, but I'm happy with it. Flip and drop. Oh, don't flip that much. Flip the right amount. I think we need to do a forehand. I am genuinely shocked at how these ones feel. Backhand and forehand, they feel great. No anhyzer. Super beefy. This one is actually not in the video I previously did. I've gotten it since then, so I have no idea how it flies. I'm gonna go with neutral. You know what? I think the 5 dimples feel better than the 3. The 3 in a backhand with my thumb's a little weird, but forehand, you actually kind of wrap your fingers around it. That's not bad, but I think I like the 5 or the 9 better than the 3. Let's see how it flies though. Flip, flip. Okay, okay, flip, 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 flip. So that is Ching, but the next brand is the One. So many of you might have heard of the Raging Inferno and the Raging Inferno DT. Basically, they're the exact same disc, but one has dimples and the other doesn't. And when it comes to this manufacturer, these two discs are just the tip of the iceberg. But I think before we get there, it's worth just calling out right now why discs have dimples in the first place. If you didn't already know, golf balls have dimples because it helps them fly farther. And I think at this point, that question in disc golf is all but moot because discs just aren't golf balls and dimples don't necessarily help this profile fly farther. So I'm not really here to ask the question, are dimples on discs innovative? I more care that they're fun. Like throwing this bag full of dimple discs, if you ever have the chance, you gotta do it. It's such a blast. I mean, sure, it's fall in Colorado and it's absolutely gorgeous, perfect weather, but it's such a blast to throw these discs. And these are like the case in point type of disc that you would pull out of your bag, show your homie and be like, have you seen this thing? Or what about, you know, another driver from the same company also with dimples on the bottom? Or what about a mid-range / putter with dimples on the bottom? Or to contrast a putter, what about a super wide rim distance driver with dimples on the bottom? Or what about one that has dimples on both the top and the bottom of the rim? Or if that's not crazy enough for you, what about one that has dimples on the bottom, the top, and one massive like super dimple in the middle? I mean, or what about a Raging Inferno DT, just like the other one, but this one only has dimples on the bottom, and this one has it on the top and the bottom? Or what about the Scream DT, which is probably my favorite? The Scream DT, which is by a landslide my favorite, was actually the first dimple disc ever approved by Quest, and instead of the dimples you're used to at this point, it has this crazy honeycomb texture type dimple all along the bottom. And mind you, these are all from one disc golf manufacturer. So I think if any time is perfect, right now is the perfect time to just give a massive shout out and thank you to Steve at Quest. In my opinion, Steve is unchallenged for the trophy of the most innovative disc golf manufacturer that our sport has ever seen yet. And the list of things he tried continues so far past dimples. Unfortunately, Steve stopped making discs back around 2010-ish, and then it seems like he started up again in like 2021, but unexpectedly and suddenly passed away. So, Steve, wherever you are, thank you. It's I wasn't expecting it to like sit with me this much, but like as a current disc golf manufacturer, we stand on your shoulders. And I wish we had the chance to meet, and I'm not sure you ever got a chance to hear that, but thank you. I've talked to a lot of people that knew Steve, and based on what I've heard, he'd probably just tell me to throw the damn things already, so throw them we shall. Let's go Raging Inferno versus Raging Inferno DT, both in base, side by side. The profiles look almost identical. 173, 175. Perfect test. Oh man, I did not expect that much fade. And there's a little headwind coming in right now. Oh, nice amount of turn. I mean, go in. Oh, what, did it just get lost in that tree? Huh. I mean, outside of the tree blocking the perfect shot, it seems like the Dimple is a little less stable, just a little more turn, which makes sense because if it's the exact same mold, you're basically just carving out weight from the rim. And taking out weight from the rim reduces the gyroscopic stability, which would in turn make it flip more. I'm 99% sure that's accurate. Regardless, this one is premium and 167. Okay, I thought I threw that too hard. That one is more stable than the non-DT, which makes sense. It's premium, but it's lighter and it's got the dimples and it's beefier. Huh. All right, we got the T-bone now. I thought I knew how these were gonna fly, but based on those first couple, I have no idea. I think this is gonna be flippier though. Oh, it held. Maybe I just gotta trust these. That was a nice flight and it's really comfortable in the hand. All right, we have the Defender now, which has the dimples on the top and on the bottom. I know I should trust it more, but I think I'm gonna give it a little bit of hyzer and some height. Oh, it's understable, like very, oh. Wait, what? What? Did you see that? It like, the second it flipped, we disc golfers know how discs fly. The second it flipped, it was like, oh shoot, I overturned that. And then it immediately fought out. I have never seen a disc fight so hard and fight so hard back on such a short shot. What? I have another one, so we gotta try that again. That was wild. Could it be the dimples on top and bottom? Surely that wouldn't do much. Yep, overturned it. Okay, that held a little more, but wow. What? That's crazy. All right, time for the super wide rim. This honestly feels like a 13 or 14 speed. It's called the Double D, which I hope stands for double distance. Kind of feels like, honestly, it kind of feels like a nuke. I'm expecting stable from this. I might go Anheuser. You have got to be kidding me. Did you see the angle of release? That thing is beefy. Wow. Next up, we have the 100-meter laser, dimples on top and the bottom. This is the only one with flight numbers from a sticker, so I don't know if they're accurate. It says -22, and it's got this crazy center dimple. Could you even throw it both ways? Okay, so down on the pull through. Yep, it popped through. You can hear it. It pops through on the pull through. So you can really only throw it up. I'm gonna give it probably more hyzer than I should. Yeah, so interesting. It did the same thing as the other one that has dimples on top and bottom. Like it turned quick and it faded quick. that was just less exaggerated. Why? All right, the prototype rocket has probably one of the lower parting lines I've ever seen. So we're gonna jump ahead to that T-pad. It's really just a dome with a very low parting line. Slight hyzer. Not as understable as I expected. Wow. We're hitting more trees than baskets than I would like for the day. All right, last but certainly not least, the Scream DT. I have been waiting for this. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited, we gotta just do it. Profile-wise, it genuinely looks like just a good distance driver. So we'll go slight hyzer, maybe closer to flat. Yep. I mean, that's going in the bag. Like, my commitment to you all, I will have that in the bag. So if you ever see me on the course and you want to feel it or throw it, that'll be in the bag. So you might think that's where the story of Quest and Dimples ends. And honestly, so did I, until I was at the South Expo, Disc South, the Dallas Disc Golf Expo. Why they didn't call it the Texpo, I don't know. I digress. I was there and a gentleman walked up to me and we were chatting and he was like, I brought some discs for you to check out. And one of them was a disc. I don't even know if Dave's ever heard of this disc. And Dave and Steve worked super close together. I guess that's a spoiler alert because the next manufacturer we'll get to is Dave. Anyway, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of this. I don't even know what to think. This is a Dimple exclusively on the flight plate disc. So you've literally got dimples throughout the entire flight plate, but not on the rim, as opposed to some of the other discs that were exclusively on the rim. This thing is crazy. And the gentleman was super kind. He said he'd give it to me. And I said, no way, I'll take it from you. That sounds bad. I said, no way, I'll borrow it. And then the next time you're in Denver, come out to the HQ. I'll give you a full tour and show you behind the scenes. And then I'll give you back the disc. So it's on loan. I feel bad throwing it, but I'm gonna throw it one time. One time. I hope that's okay. It's not mine. One time. All right, slight hyzer. Oh man, it's stable. It also, of course I hit a tree. Of course I had to hit a tree.
Okay, Jesse from the editing booth here, because I didn't mention something that is so interesting and timely to this disc. Obviously, Steve wouldn't have known about this when he first made it, but in effect, that disc is kind of like the new Discmania Q line, because by adding dimples, you're effectively removing weight from the center of the disc, which then, I guess that makes sense that the Scream with dimples on the rim is more understable and the Scream with dimples on the flight plate is more overstable. Because in essence, he just used the dimples to redistribute the weight in different places. Anyway, I think that's fascinating. Now it's time to move from one mad scientist to the next.
So the next Dimple disc we have to talk about actually came out kind of simultaneous to a lot of the Quest discs. And I alluded to it earlier, but you also might have noticed on the Raging Inferno that it says by Gateway Quest. And I asked Dave about this. Basically, I guess Steve and him worked so closely together. Dave would help him with processing, and Steve would just build crazy mold after crazy mold after crazy mold. So basically, as a thanks to Dave, Steve started putting Gateway on his discs, but it was only a couple months after the Scream DT that the first Gateway Dimple disc was released. This is the Speed Demon DT, and what I find to be so fascinating about it is that you can see it's kind of got that same honeycomb texture, but instead of being as pronounced as the Scream DT, it's even more subtle. Now I also have a Diablo DT. Actually, this one's a first run, and it's got kind of the more standard dimples that we're used to, as opposed to these more subtle ones. But full transparency here, I do not have every disc that Dave put dimples on, because I know he's used different wings or tops and bottoms and put dimples on just an absurd amount of different molds. All right, we're playing typical beaver rules. Blue basket is 306 feet. Honestly, it plays like 400, but if you ace the silver on your way there, then everyone on the card now has to play to the silver basket. I'm guessing I'm just gonna go flat. I think it's gonna be kind of understable, but I'll just go flat at the silver. Oh, did I get it? Not bad. I mean, had some understability. I'm throwing uphill at elevation, so it probably flips a decent amount, but it flew nice. Let's do the same thing here. Oh, missed the line, but it's fine. I mean, they fly nice. Dave, 100% recycled Speed Demon DT, Diablo DT. Just saying. Last but certainly not least is, I think, the only disc you can actually buy. Oh no, Ching has the Juju. You can buy that disc. That's kind of funny. The only Dimple discs on the market that you can buy now are the ones with either the least dimples or the absolute max amount of dimples. In 2014 and 2015, Latitude 64 released the Rakuten and the Missilin, which have this hexagonal dimple technology, which is just hundreds of micro dimples all along the flight plate. And actually it goes down to the bottom of the rim as well. You have a little break in two different spots, so you can kind of get the same amount of grip with your thumb, but honestly, the dimple section doesn't feel that bad either. In some ways, I feel like I almost get more grip on the disc. These are definitely the ones that feel the most like a just standard disc golf disc, except for maybe the like Raging Inferno DT, because you don't really feel the dimples when you're holding a disc like that. And I think Latitude actually brought both of these discs back last year. Don't quote me on that, but if they did, happy 10th birthday to one of them this year and one of them last year. That's also crazy. It's crazy that we haven't had a dimple disc for over 10 years now. There's a basket around the corner, but you know, same rules apply. If we get the silver, we get the ace. I believe the Missilin is more overstable and the Rakuten had just like a little bit of flip. Whoa, whoa. Oh my gosh. That just dropped. I thought it was gonna soar over the basket. It almost just dropped right in. Wow, we're really going for that basket. Oh, please. Listen, it wasn't great, but it wasn't that bad. There's definitely more flip on the Rakuten, so if you have a lower arm speed, I'd probably suggest that one, but they're both big distance drivers. But they're fun. I think the moral of the story actually at the end of this is that this is just so fun. So I love weird discs. I want to make this a series. Let me know in the comments what other collections of like I threw every blank disc we should try to make, and we'll see you on the next one. So I mentioned that it's taken me a little over 2 years to collect every single disc in this video, some of which I got myself, some of which actually came through our disc recycling program. But there is still one disc out there that I have not ever seen anywhere except for 2 photos online, and that's all of the information out there, period, about this disc. There's nothing about it. And it actually comes from our friends over at Dynamic Disc/Destiny Disc. So the company that made the Dimple, the first disc in this video, the original Dimple disc, also made a second Dimple disc called the CDS, which stood for Circular Displacement System. I have no idea how many of these are out there in the world, but genuinely, I think this might be a contender for the rarest disc out there. So I had to make the video. Maybe one day we'll get our hands on it, but unlikely at this point. However, if you know anything about this disc, just let us know in the comments below.